Chapter 1: The Crystal Caverns. The air hung thick and heavy with the scent of ozone and dust, a suffocating blanket over the desolate landscape of Xylos. Sunlight, fractured and filtered through the crystalline spires, cast long, eerie shadows across the canyons. Jaxon Reynolds, his face streaked with grime, navigated the treacherous terrain on his battered, salvaged quadrunner. He pushed the machine harder, the engine roaring in protest as he ascended the steep incline. His destination, the Krystalline mining site, a forbidden zone for Dustwalkers. His crew, the Dust Devils, had been scavenging for weeks, their meager rations dwindling, their hopes flickering like the distant starlight. Jax, however, felt a gnawing unease. The Syndicate's presence was heavy, their shadows stretching across the land like a blight. Their relentless pressure to exploit the planet's resources for their own gain was driving a wedge between the Krystalline and the humans, creating a fragile and ever-shifting landscape of fear and distrust. This mission felt different, darker. A whisper of danger lingered in the air. The mining site was a labyrinth of shimmering crystal formations, their surfaces reflecting the harsh sunlight in a kaleidoscope of colors. Within the heart of the maze, the rhythmic pulse of energy resonated, a symphony of light and sound that sent shivers down Jax's spine. Suddenly, a burst of energy erupted from a hidden chamber, sending a shockwave through the very earth. A cry, a high-pitched whine that translated into a series of ethereal light patterns, sliced through the silence. Jax's heart hammered against his ribs. He saw it, a Krystalline, Lyra, caught in a net of shimmering energy, flung by a group of Syndicate mercenaries. Her form, delicate yet powerful, was cloaked in a luminescent, blue aura. Panic twisted her features, her eyes wide with a fear that echoed Jax's own. The mercenaries, their faces obscured by hardened masks, were brutal, their movements swift and efficient. Jax knew he had to act. His quadrunner, a faithful beast of burden, became his lifeline, propelling him forward in a desperate sprint. He dodged a barrage of crystalline shards, hurled by the mercenaries with calculated precision, a storm of sharp projectiles in the oppressive darkness. The mercenaries, armed with weapons that pulsed with the same eerie light as the crystalline formations, were ruthless and merciless. In a flurry of motion, Jax used his years of survival training to tackle the mercenaries, wrestling with them, seizing their weapons, and disabling them with swift, brutal strikes. Lyra, meanwhile, fought against the energy net, her struggles weakening, her light dimming. Jax reached Lyra just as the net threatened to crush her. He dove in front of her, shielding her with his body as the energy pulsed around them. In that brief, terrifying moment, the world seemed to tilt on its axis. Jax felt the raw energy surge through him, the shock making him momentarily blind and deaf. His muscles screamed in protest. He stumbled back, the force knocking him against a crystalline wall. When the tremor subsided, he found Lyra unconscious, her light almost extinguished. Her form, fragile and vulnerable, lay nestled in his arms. The energy that had been used against her now seemed to flow through her, a subtle pulse resonating in the air, echoing the fear and desperation they had just faced. A wave of adrenaline and relief washed over him, but beneath it, a profound sense of responsibility settled. He had saved her, but now a greater battle loomed. The fate of a civilization rested on his shoulders. Chapter 2: The Whispering Crystals. Jax, cradling Lyra, stumbled out of the mining site, the air now thick with the metallic tang of blood and the unsettling hum of the crystals. The Syndicate mercenaries, their bodies twisted and lifeless, lay scattered amongst the shattered crystals. He knew he couldn't stay, not with Lyra in this state. He needed a place to heal her, a place safe from prying eyes. He steered his quadrunner towards the Krystalline city, a sprawling metropolis carved from the very crystals. The transition from the harsh, desolate mining area was jarring, almost surreal. Towering crystal spires, hundreds of feet high, formed elaborate pathways and intricate structures. The air vibrated with an almost palpable energy, a complex symphony of light patterns dancing in the air. He'd heard tales from Dustwalkers, but seeing the city felt otherworldly. Lyra's life force, faint yet persistent, was a counterpoint to the alien marvel. The Krystalline city was a living entity, a testament to their unique connection to the crystals. Their architecture, their technology, their very existence felt alien, yet simultaneously beautiful. He felt a tremor of understanding, a spark of empathy. As he entered the city, light patterns seemed to coalesce around him, forming a complex, language-like script that spoke of Lyra's weakened condition. Crystalline guards, cloaked in shimmering garments that seemed to blend with the crystal structures, appeared from the shadows. Their movements were fluid, almost silent, their eyes reflecting a curiosity mingled with caution. Jax hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. He felt the weight of his decision, interfering with their ways risked escalating the conflict. Yet Lyra's life depended on his actions. Jax, with his usual resourcefulness, began to decipher the light patterns, working to communicate Lyra's need for healing. It wasn't a literal translation, but a plea whispered in a language unspoken, a language of shared survival. The Krystalline, initially wary, began to respond. Their understanding wasn't immediate, but slow, methodical. They were a people who valued understanding above all else. Through slow, painstaking interpretation, Jax and the Crystalline guards guided him to a healing chamber. There, a network of glowing crystals pulsed with a gentle light, their energy a balm for Lyra's wounds. The chamber hummed with the same energy that had nearly consumed her, but this time, it served as a healing force. Chapter 3: The Price of Trust. The healing process was slow and arduous. Jax stayed by Lyra's side, learning more about the Crystalline culture, their history, and their deeply rooted connection to the crystals. He discovered they were a people deeply rooted in balance, deeply protective of their environment and their history, a legacy marred by past conflicts with the human race. This cultural exploration highlighted the chasm between the Krystalline and Dustwalkers. Lyra, now more alert, explained how the Syndicate's exploitation had manipulated the very crystals, twisting them towards their agenda. The Krystalline were deeply affected, their lives interwoven with the crystals. But amidst the cultural differences, a subtle shift occurred. Jax saw more than just a scavenger, a survivor. He saw a man deeply compassionate, slowly acknowledging his mistakes and accepting the Crystalline's customs, a man who saw beyond the cultural divide. He found himself drawn to Lyra's quiet strength and her unwavering spirit, a recognition of their shared humanity. Meanwhile, the tension escalated. The Syndicate, sensing a shift in the balance of power, sent assassins to target Jax and Lyra. The Crystalline guards, now aware of the danger, placed Jax under their protection. They saw him not as an enemy, but as a protector of one of their own. The escalating conflict forced Jax and Lyra to realize that their individual struggles were now intertwined with the larger struggle between two cultures. The fate of their individual survival was now tied to the very survival of Xylos. This escalating conflict created tension, foreshadowing a critical climax. The delicate balance shifted, and Jax recognized the urgency of his mission. He had not just saved a Crystalline life, he had unearthed a complex web of conflict and intrigue, a web he was now deeply entwined with. The rescue was just the beginning. Chapter 4: The Forgotten Path. The Krystalline, recognizing Jax's growing understanding and the urgency of the situation, led him to the entrance of a hidden, forgotten city, shrouded in mist and whispers of ancient prophecies. The air thrummed with an energy more potent than anything Jax had encountered before, a palpable vibration that resonated deep within his bones. This city, the Krystalline elders explained, was the heart of their civilization, a repository of knowledge and power. The Syndicate, driven by their insatiable greed, was desperate to access it. Lyra, her eyes filled with a blend of fear and determination, explained the legend of the Sunstone, a crystal artifact said to hold the key to a forgotten power source. This energy, the Krystalline believed, was the very lifeblood of Xylos. The Syndicate, ignorant of its true nature, wanted only its raw power. This artifact had an ancient power to balance the entire planet. This was a crucial part of their history. Jax, now seeing beyond the surface of a simple rescue, realized the depth of the conflict. He wasn't just protecting Lyra, he was safeguarding the delicate balance of Xylos itself, a planet on the brink of war. He knew that the Sunstone, if fallen into the wrong hands, would tip the scales towards a catastrophic conflict. The potential for planetary destruction weighed heavily upon him, the responsibility a heavy burden. Their journey through the Forgotten City was fraught with peril. The corridors were lined with cryptic carvings that seemed to shift and change before their eyes, illusions playing tricks on their minds. The crystals pulsed with a mesmerizing light, their patterns swirling in intricate designs. Each step deeper into the city increased the threat. The Syndicate's presence loomed, making this a race against time. Lyra, navigating the city with ease and surprising knowledge, revealed hidden passages and solved cryptic puzzles with her unique connection to the crystalline structures, guiding Jax through the ancient maze. Jax, in turn, used his scavenging instincts and resourcefulness, finding ways to create tools and improvising solutions to the intricate challenges presented by the Lost City secrets. Their collaboration was not just a partnership, it was a survival strategy. Chapter 5: The Krystalline's Past. As they delved deeper, Jax and Lyra discovered that the Lost City wasn't just a repository of knowledge, but a testament to the Krystalline's past. Cryptic inscriptions depicted a time when humans and Krystalline coexisted in harmony, sharing knowledge and resources. But a betrayal, a dark chapter buried beneath layers of time, had fractured their unity, igniting the seeds of mistrust that now threatened to consume them. The city's cryptic text spoke of a betrayal and a dark chapter in their shared history. Jax learned that the Krystalline held deep-seated resentment towards humans, stemming from a forgotten conflict, where the first Dustwalkers sought to exploit the crystals. This historical context painted a more nuanced picture of the Krystalline. Lyra, with a sorrowful expression, revealed that the Syndicate, with their ruthless tactics, were not merely seeking resources, they were attempting to recreate the past mistakes, hoping to unleash the ancient power for their own gain. The Sunstone, in their hands, would be a weapon of mass destruction, a catastrophe foretold in ancient prophecies. The weight of this history pressed down on Jax. It wasn't just about saving Lyra or preventing a war, it was about repairing the fractured trust between two species. His mission had shifted from rescue to reconciliation, a daunting task that demanded a profound understanding of both cultures. Their shared purpose was to protect Xylos and find a way to bridge the gap between their two worlds. The Krystalline sorrow was real. Chapter 6: The Syndicate's Plot. Their journey led them to a central chamber, where the Syndicate's presence was undeniable. The Overseer, a ruthless figure shrouded in shadows, stood before them. This was a turning point. He had been meticulously planning their attack, and was poised to strike. Jax recognized the Overseer from old rumors and now saw him as the key to the conflict. The Overseer, his face hidden in shadows, revealed his true intentions, not just to harness the Sunstone's energy, but to manipulate the crystals and the planet to achieve a dominance they had sought for decades, intending to conquer Xylos. He intended to remake the planet in his own image and make the Krystalline a tool. His ruthlessness was clear. This was a crucial moment. The Overseer, indifferent to the suffering of the Krystalline, saw them as tools, not sentient beings. Jax understood now the true nature of the conflict. It wasn't just about resources, but about the very essence of what it meant to be alive. The threat was imminent. The Overseer was not only a threat to Lyra and the Krystalline, but to the entire galaxy. The fate of Xylos hung in the balance. Jax, in his heart, understood the history of humanity's mistakes. He was determined to prevent history from repeating itself. His journey had become one of hope, of resilience, and of the desperate need to repair the rift between cultures. The climax was looming. Chapter 7: The Overseer's Gambit. Jax, faced with the Overseer's callous disregard for the Krystalline and the potential devastation of Xylos, knew he had to act decisively. He wasn't just a scavenger anymore, he was a protector, a bridge between two warring factions. He had to convince the Overseer of the catastrophic consequences of his actions, not just for the Krystalline, but for the entire galaxy. Lyra, sensing the shift in the air, urged him to appeal to the Overseer's sense of self-interest. She, with her unique insights into the Krystalline's values, suggested focusing on the long-term implications of their actions, the potential repercussions on their own people and their own ambitions. The Krystalline's past was a key to understanding the present. Jax found himself considering her words, understanding the subtle pressures that might resonate with the Overseer. In a tense standoff, Jax confronted the Overseer, not with weapons, but with logic and empathy. He painted a stark picture of the potential devastation, the intergalactic fallout, the loss of life that would inevitably follow the Overseer's actions. He spoke of a future where the planet was scarred, its resources depleted, its people fractured. He spoke of an era of conflict. His words, though met with cold silence and calculating eyes, seemed to resonate, not with a change of heart, but with a stirring of doubt. The Overseer, seemingly unmoved, countered with a ruthless efficiency, displaying an unparalleled knowledge of the humans and their weaknesses. He had anticipated Jax's approach, weaving a complex web of deception and manipulation. Jax had to find a way to expose his true intentions. Chapter 8: Lyra's Choice. Lyra, sensing the Overseer's vulnerability, used her unique ability to communicate with the crystals to manipulate the very environment around them. She triggered a series of ancient mechanisms within the city, activating forgotten defenses, revealing hidden passages and ancient traps. These were not just traps, they were reminders of the Crystalline's resilience, their ability to protect their home. This was a crucial moment. Lyra's actions weren't a display of brute force, but a subtle, calculated dance of persuasion. Her actions highlighted the inherent power of the Krystalline, their connection to the very fabric of the planet. The Overseer's actions now revealed his ultimate goals. She invoked the memories of their shared past, reminding him of the potential consequences of his actions and the potential for a peaceful future. The crystals seemed to hum with her intentions. This was a gamble. The Overseer's attempts